Hi, everyone. It's Lisa Ling. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I am so thrilled to be talking to three of the young women who are featured in the new Netflix documentary Found. They are Chloe, Lily, and Sadie. And hi, everyone. Hi, girls. Nice to see you.
Hi.
I was so moved by this documentary. It really is an exploration or your journey to sort of, would you say it would be fair to say, kind of figure out your identity? You three were both adopted from China and grew up in very, very different circumstances. Um, Chloe, you grew up in Arizona. Uh, Lily, you grew up in Oklahoma City, and Sadie, you grew up in Tennessee. And I'm wondering how this documentary even came about. I know Chloe, you had a personal connection to the filmmakers. Can you talk about how this all came about?
Yeah, so Amanda, the producer and director, one of the producers and directors of the film is my aunt. So we are very close, and it really all started with the filming of my bat mitzvah, and where she reminded me like this is gonna be like a nice family film for just us. And clearly that blew up a little more. And that's how it started for me.
Well, in the film, you have really long, beautiful black hair. You recently shaved your head, and you look gorgeous and have the perfect head shape for it. Uh, but was it just something that you had always wanted to do, or any reason for wanting to cut your hair off and shave your head?
Um, I would say, it was the end of junior year. I was kind of tired of school and stuff, and I wanted to change it up. I had seen some really like badass women having had shaved their head, and I was like, that could be really fun. So I did it.
How did that go over with your parents? Did you tell them you wanted to do it?
I told them I wanted to do it. They were very reluctant. They thought I was a little crazy. But I told them like, this is something I really want to do. And so I did it. And they, in the end, were supportive of it, which was really nice.
Well, I love it, and if I didn't have such a funky head, I would do it too. I've always wanted to shave my head, but it would not. It would not look too good. I'm certain of that. Now, so Chloe, your aunt is the one who approached you about doing a film, but you and Sadie had actually connected before your aunt approached you. How did you and why did you get connected? Sadie, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, of course. So I think we got in contact with each other through 23andMe, and our parents got in contact and were like, we should totally have the girls meet up with each other. And then she came to visit me in Nashville. And I think from there, when Amanda, our director, heard that story, she thought it was really inspiring and cool. And I think that's the start of how she came up with the idea for the documentary.
So, how long had you two known each other? And you found out that you are related somehow through 23andMe. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're second or third cousins, which is pretty close for like how many people are in the world and like the chances of finding like blood related relatives. Yeah.
Okay, so then enter Lily, who you found out is also one of your relatives. When did you find that out after you two had found each other first? Lily, do you want to respond to that?
Um, I was in my senior year of high school, and I got a message from Sadie on 23andMe. Um, and she was like, "Hi, I'm Sadie," and she's like, "Apparently we're cousins." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I've grown up. I'm an only child, and I have so many cousins. I was like, "Okay, I got another little
Yeah.
cousin in the mix." was like, all right, that works.
Um, and I gathered from the film that you, all three of you, none of you grew up around many Asian people. So what was it like when you found out that you had a cousin living in America?
For me, I know like just growing up around predominantly like white people, I never really like felt like out of place necessarily, but I did what my other friends were doing. I like kind of fell into place in this role that I like grew up in this like Jewish household. It was very, I don't know, surprising to me to have found to found Sadie, but I mean, it wasn't like shocking to me. I feel like, my past has been this thing of mystery and just like unknown. So like something kind of like coming into my life that was like kind of unknown, like wasn't as jarring as I think people might expect it to be. I think it was something that I was like, okay, like we'll see how this relationship evolves and like just like take it one step at a time. I think that's how I approach a lot of the things I'm processing from my past.
Sadie, how about you? When was it Chloe that reached out to you, or did you reach out to Chloe?
Um, I'm not really sure. I feel like our parents kind of reached out to each other,
Yeah.
so we're not really sure who it was first. Um, but yeah, she came to visit me, but honestly, when my mom told me the news about it, it was a different change. I was kind of like, wow, we've never really like delved into like that past at all, really. Like they've talked about it bits and pieces, but really like you said, growing up in predominantly white society, you just kind of assimilate with your white family, their family is your family and everything, and you don't really think about your other, like your family, your origins. And then Chloe stepped in and it was like this new door that opened that I didn't even know was there.
And Lily, when you got contacted by your two cousins, you're an only child, also grew up around mostly white people. How did you feel?
I guess kind of like what Chloe said. I had a really good group of friends, and I have a great support system in Oklahoma. So I guess like meeting kind of like what I guess going off of both of what they said, Sadie is like this opened up a door that I never knew I had, and it led to so many opportunities, and that's why it was really exciting to become a part of this and grow a relationship with Chloe and Sadie.
Was it exciting to the three of you? I mean, you probably grew up having a lot of questions about your past, and to finally meet relatives who you could form a connection to. I mean, that must have been pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah, it was very exciting. I mean, I when I met Sadie, it was really strange because I think like everyone in the room could feel like this like connection, but we were also like strangers. Like we were just like teenagers and strangers, so like it was awkward at first. And I guess it wasn't hard to get past that like initial like barrier, but I think it's important to remember that we are just like all people, and it wasn't like an immediate like click. I think it was pretty quick, but we were strangers meeting for the first time, and like just because our DNA was like, oh, you're a match, doesn't like, I don't know, immediately mean that it's gonna like all be perfect, I guess.
And then whenever I came into it, they knew each other prior to me coming in, and I'm 4 years older than them. So whenever before I even like started this and met them, I was like, I'm kind of nervous. They've already met before. Like they're also, I mean, we're all close in age, but I was like, they are the same age. I was like, they probably have a lot more common than I do, and I'm kind of just jumping in randomly. I was like, I hope this isn't weird, or like I hope it works out. And I mean, obviously, kind of like what Chloe said, it's a little like we're all human, and it is a little weird, and it was easy to break that barrier. But I was super nervous about kind of jumping in on a relationship that they already started, and we have like obviously having differences, but I mean either way we really did break that barrier and grew a really strong relationship.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really, it was an exciting, like, knowing that that we had family like of our own, like somewhere else, but it was also something like so new, something that like we've never really done before, and it was like nerve-wracking and kind of scary at first, but really, yeah, once we like passed that barrier, we like all clicked, and yeah.
You all seem to have really incredible families and also friend groups. Would you say that throughout your life, did you feel have you felt kind of plagued by some of those unanswered questions about identity and where you come from?
Um, I would definitely say yes. I think for the beginning, like earlier parts, like I don't know, elementary school and middle school, I definitely put that part of me and the questions I had like kind of like on the back burner, because just I knew that the chances of finding answers to those questions were so unlikely, and letting that part of me, I don't know, take control and like really upset me, and like it's very emotional. So letting that part of me, I don't know, like run my life was not something that I thought was a good idea. So I think, I don't know, I pushed it aside for a very long time. And only recently with like the film and like, I don't know, processing it all, did I reopen that part of my life up again.
And how are you doing with that, Chloe?
It's
Now it's not only your journey, but it's, there are, when this film comes out, right, going to be millions of people who in some ways feel like they're part of your journey as well.
mhm. Yeah, it's been very long, I would say. Like, I think my journey started a lot longer like in the past than I realized. I think starting to process and think about it and being faced with like questions and just like people in the world like questioning your identity before even you had a chance to do that is when it started for me. Um, I would say I'm just at the beginning of figuring myself out and like answering questions. I think the trip definitely helped me get on that track, helped me kind of focus on a part of me that I'd never done before, a part of me that I had never focused on before. Um, but it's been all over the place, very emotional, and but it's been good overall, I think.
I agree with Lily, not Lily, Chloe. I did kind of put those feelings like on a back burner. I just kind of, I don't know. I guess growing up around white people, I felt like I identified as them, but then at the same time, I knew there's always something different. But it's something I kind of like pushed away for a while until recently. I've kind of noticed like the ways that culture has affected me, and also I've like had more questions like, oh, I wonder like what my parents looked like, or like if or when in middle school when you do like the family tree ones and they tell you to look into your own past, and I'm like, I can't really do that because I'm still trying to figure it out. So yeah, so it doesn't really plague you, but it does kind of slowly, just there's little things that kind of follow you
Yeah.
throughout.
I think it's like a
Mhm.
natural part of growing up, just like the part of life we're in right now is a very safe space to be questioning these kinds of things.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like it doesn't come up to like later on, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I mean I did that too. I I mean I did the same thing as them. I pushed it aside. Like I would get questions all the time like, oh, you're gonna go back to China, like do you want to find your birth parents? I was like, no, not really. I was like, maybe like when I'm like after college and I've graduated. And then this all happened. But kind of what happened to me is in high school, I was actually around their age, like junior year in high school. I think that's where our age gap kind of comes into play for me. Is I was really sad in my junior year. It's kind of just this random moment I had with my mom, and I would just get really sad thinking about my birth parents and my adoption because I pushed it aside for so long. So all of these emotions, I guess, built up, and then it all came out, and it was just sadness for me. And then I think everything happens for a reason. And then because I was really in the healing process of all those emotions into my senior year of high school. And then that's when I got asked to be a part of this. And that's when I said yes.
In this film, the three of you travel to China, back to China for the first time since you were adopted, and you do it together. Before this, had you thought about going back to China and exploring where you came from?
I feel like I've always known at one point in my life I wanted to take that journey, and like just I feel like it's a good part of my life that I mean, honestly, I would want to live knowing that I visited a little bit of my origins and tried my best to try to find them and everything.
I knew at one point I was gonna go back, but it's kind of hard. It's like I mean, I'm in college now, and life gets busier. I mean, my mom's a single mom, and I'm doing school, and I'm working, and these I'm in a sorority. It's my life has become busier, and it got to the point where sometimes I was like, oh, like I don't know like when I'll get to do it because I'm living my life. So this opportunity did give me that chance to go to China and with them, which made it 10 times more better.
How about you, Chloe? Did you have any desire before this to explore where you came from?
I definitely did. I don't think that there was I don't know, on the timeline of things, I don't think my family had like a plan to go back, but I definitely was something I was curious about. And like going off of Lily, like this, I don't know, the filming process created a very like safe space to take a pause from like our daily lives in Nashville, Oklahoma, and Phoenix to just explore this completely other side of us. And I think that's really special. And I think going back individually with our families, we would have gotten a completely different experience, something not as, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing like not as fulfilling because I don't know like if we would have been able to meet our nannies, if we would have been connected to Leo Howe and gotten some of the very unique experiences that we did.
So I just wanted to take you back to that trip, and I don't want to give away too much because I want people to watch the film, but I wonder if you all could just tell me what that felt like the moment you touched down in the Guangdong province, right? Where the place where you came from, and given the fact that all three of you grew up in very non-diverse communities where there were, you know, very, very few Asian people, what was it like to suddenly be in a country where everyone looks more like you than not?
Uh, you go.
Six, you want to take that?
Sure. For me, honestly, I just feel like being surrounded by white people, you really do kind of feel like you're one of them. So at first I was like, oh my God, they're probably staring because like we're like the white group there. But then I was like, wait, no, I could easily just walk with them and fit in. Like, and it was like a weird realization, but it was kind of cool to like not be the
Sadie,
minority.
did it feel very foreign to you?
It did. It was a really new foreign feeling. But it was kind of cool too, though. I was like, wow, I'm not the minority here anymore. Yeah.
I felt the same way. It is funny because people would come up to us and speak Mandarin. And I was like, oh, I wish I knew Mandarin, but I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I like wish I knew what you're saying. But Chloe knew a little Mandarin.
Not
So-
that much.
Are you still taking it, Chloe?
Yeah, I am. It has been interesting. I'm not the best at it by any means, but it's been fun.
When you broke out the Womeo Nanpengyo, I was like, whoa, go on, Chloe.
Oh yeah.
Is that the boyfriend comment?
Yeah. Making my manager proud, I guess.
Yeah.
Chloe, tell me how you felt the moment you touched down. Like, what did China feel like to you?
Um, Honestly, I mean, I feel like it's portrayed as like this thing where we were like completely changed. But I mean, until we started to like get into like meeting people and like kind of walking around, I don't really think that I felt that different. It was definitely different being surrounded by people that like look like you. And I know that my parents like looked at me and it was like, they like said like it's so weird like being different, like oh my god, like people are looking at us now, which I thought was an interesting like change because like that's how I've been looked at, you know, being surrounded by like my white family. But I think I don't know, just like processing it has been a bit of a delay for me. It was very I don't know, it was a very big experience. So I think at the time I didn't have too many thoughts on it, which sounds crazy, but yeah.
Well, just so you know, I grew up in a very non-diverse community myself, and always carried a lot of shame about being Asian because I hated being different from everyone else, and I felt really conflicted about my identity. I never felt totally American because I didn't look like everyone in my community, nor did I know anything about what it was like to be from China, right? Like I didn't know anything about being Chinese. And so when I first went to China in 1994, I felt similarly to you all. It was like, whoa, I'm I'm surrounded by throngs of people who look like me, but at the same time, I do think I still stood out to people there. Like I do think that the way I carried myself, the way I was dressed, it seemed very clear. I also didn't speak Mandarin, and people were coming up to me and speaking to me, and I would just have this like weird look on my face, like I'm sorry, I can't communicate. Um, but as you are recounting your experiences, I'm thinking about my first time in China. And in fact, Chloe, I years ago in my 20s, I had this Caucasian boyfriend, and we went into this restaurant that was just filled with Chinese people. And he said, "Man, I'm the only white guy in here." And I said, "Welcome to my life." So it was like a total role reversal. So I hear what you're talking about when you were referencing what your parents said when they were in China. What did it mean like for the three of you to have each other on this incredibly emotional journey back to China? Lily, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think all of us really uh couldn't anticipate the emotional heaviness of what was to come on this trip. Um, and I really could not imagine doing it alone. I'm an emotional person. I cry at like everything, like movies, puppies, like everything. So I'm a crier. Um, so doing it alone, like I can't even imagine. And so it was really nice having Chloe and Sadie there. And it was also important because I feel like our parents really understood that like that they were there for us, but they knew that like they would give us our space to be together because we both knew what each other, like all of us were going through, because we all did the exact same things. And I feel like even whenever I couldn't even like comprehend or like say like what I'm feeling, they knew. It's kind of weird. But they knew what I was feeling, and that was super important to me. Um, because they were there through super tough times. Um, yeah.
Chloe, how about you? What did it mean for you to have Lily and Sadie along on this really powerful journey?
I don't think I could have done it by myself. I like going off of Lily, just like having like a shared underlying like experience was just like very powerful to me. And the scene that I'm thinking of is when after I met my nanny and I ran into Lily, that feeling of just like no one else could comfort me. Like Lily, Lily was there, and like that's the first person I thought of when I like needed to be comforted at that time because I was so emotionally just like overwhelmed and like could not process what was going on. I was very sad. And like Lily kind of knew what that was like. And I just like that connection is so unique that we share. And I think going off of just like our parents giving us space, I think thinking about their journey is so interesting because like they're going on a completely separate journey. Like their journey is like equally just like intense and overwhelming, and just like navigating their feelings around it, I think is so interesting, like a parallel story alongside ours, because I know a lot of adopted parents out there, I don't know, like have similar experiences to our parents, I think, just like maybe not feeling like their children are talking to them about maybe their adoption, and just like understanding that it's because, I don't know, like not feeling that they fully understand or like can fully understand what you're going through. So like their journey is completely separate from ours, but has a unique link together. Yeah.
And Sadie, what about you? What did it mean for you to have Lily and Chloe along this journey?
I mean, really, Chloe and Lily worded it perfectly. Just having them there as a support system, it was really nice. Like nobody, you could try to explain it to other people, but they might not have like the same feelings and like know exactly what you're going through. But like since we were on the same journey, we all kind of understood where one was like coming from and like what we were going through. And it's just nice like when you guys are in the same boat and you can talk about it to each other.
Chloe, there were a couple of moments in the film where you became very emotional and talked about really struggling with that question of feeling unwanted. And I wonder, when you three went back to China and you got to see some of the places where um, families had given up their daughters, and when you got to interact with some of those people, right, some of the families, and saw the heartache that they felt about the fact that they felt they had to give up that daughter, their daughter. Um, did that bring you any closure, or um, did that propel you to think differently at all about how you had spent so much of your life thinking?
Definitely. I think just like hearing their stories, and like even watching the film for the first time, like there's so many people that they met with that I didn't get to meet with like on the trip. So it really brings full circle just like how many people are involved and how many emotions and stories are interlocked. And I think like the what really did it for me was just like how, I don't know, just like bonding over the pain of it and like the trauma of it is interesting, because I think I went into it feeling like I'm gonna go in, get answers, and come out. But it just like really opened up the world to just like how many people's stories are, I don't know, just like pieced out, I guess. I don't know, like the babies in their lives that were had to be given up are just like a strand of them, and kind of like, I don't know, everyone involved, their stories are not linear, I guess I would say, like pieces of them are getting like, I don't know, separated into the world, and it's just so complicated. And I think that's what's so interesting about this. It's like we're not like puzzle pieces. It's like so much more abstract, and I don't know, just like emotions and feelings are all over the place. I don't know.
If I may, would you say you came to the realization that things just really aren't so black and white, and that these families, these moms that feel compelled to give their daughters up, I mean, it's like true heartache, and they really, in so many cases, just feel like they are doing the best thing they can for their daughters. They're trying actually to give their daughters the best life possible because they know they can't. I mean, Did you, Lily and Sadie? I mean, did seeing that, having those conversations, did that help you reconcile any of those feelings that you may have had previously?
I would say so. I feel like this kind of goes along with I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't know if I should even say it.
Just when
Just
you think about, just when you think about, you know, the interactions that you had with people who had given up um, their daughters.
yeah, it was definitely healing because we got a lot more perspective from their side, and even stepping foot in China, I mean, it's a third world country. It's really upsetting, like we're here and we're doing everything virtual. Like we have all this technology, and the development with technology is not the same. There's like no, it's like nothing compared to China. So seeing how, or I guess with the parents and how different it is and the lifestyle, it really opens up your eyes to parents and like the circumstances of how and why they had to give up their child.
Yeah, you're right, Lily. There's some parts of China that are just booming, that are, you know, arguably more high tech and advanced than most of America, but there also are very, very poor villages where people are really struggling. Sadie, tell me about how you felt after interacting with people who felt compelled to give their daughters up.
I mean, listening to like the interviews of families, it was really sad, like hearing their stories, but it also, in a way, like it provides reassurance knowing that they like it hurts them just as much as it hurts you, them having to give you up, that it's not like you weren't nothing to them because they were all feeling so much emotions. And for many of the families, they were forced to give up their kids. They never wanted that to happen. And it's just nice and reassuring knowing that they wanted you and they wanted to keep you, but they just, under their situation and their circumstance, they couldn't.
Um, I imagine that you all, when you were out in the countryside, you probably thought, "Wow, this is what my life could have been like if my parents, you know, didn't have to give me up." Tell me about those feelings. Tell me about when you were out there and seeing what life is like in those parts of China.
It was very, I don't know, it opened my mind a lot. And I just like, it really comes full circle for me, hearing Leo Howe's story, because, her, I don't know, I don't want to like spoil it, but like her story is like a third perspective from like the parents who gave up their daughters, and then the adoptees, and then like
By the way, just so everyone knows, Leo Howe is the woman who was hired to try and seek out your biological parents. So just so people know.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Clay.
But yeah, it's a third perspective of like, it's not always as perfect as you might want it to be or imagine it to be. I think her story really brings to light the reality of, how hard it can be, if we weren't given up. Yeah.
Lily and Sadie, when you went into the countryside and just met with families and saw what their lives were like, I imagine you thought, well, this could have been my life.
Yeah. Whenever I met with one of the families, he had a daughter, and just seeing that different life, I was like, wow, that could have been me. Like she was talking about how she learned to cook from a young age, and she also has a child now. Um, and seeing that how like we really could have been like switched lives. It's really mind blowing. And it also it makes me it breaks my heart because it's like I want the best for them too. I want them to have everything in the world. And it makes it really, for me, it puts a lot, it makes me grateful for the life I have.
Yeah,
Sadie, how about you?
I agree with Lily. Like it's really shocking, like the transition, because I mean, fortunately for me, I was adopted um by a good family and in a nice town and everything, and have all these opportunities. And it's such a different transition what it can be like in China. And I don't know, it makes me also like it. I don't really know how to word it. Um, like I hope like just my parents in China know that I'm doing well now. Like, even though the circumstance was hard, it like worked out for the best and everything.
Um, this question is for all three of you. How has this experience changed you? Chloe?
This experience has been um this experience has definitely changed me. I'll start with that. Yeah. It really began my journey of like discovering like the Chinese part of me, I would say. And I think it like makes me whole, you know. I think I really focused on like my adopted identity as like in like the white Jewish community that I grew up in. And I think in a way, like I left behind that little girl, that little adopted girl from China behind. And I wasn't giving her like the care. It was like TLC, I guess, and just like reflecting on like just like how much like love and care goes into, I don't know, just like being a human. I'm still processing everything that's going on in my past, in my present, and probably what's going to be in my future. But I think I'm way ahead of where I would have been at 17 if the movie didn't happen. It definitely pushed me to think about really hard things.
Lily, how has the experience changed you?
Um, I think I really grew from this experience. I mean, obviously, I think grow and change maybe are kind of the same thing. I don't really know. I think everyone has a different take on it. Um, but I think because I was see what how I think I was a sophomore in my in college. So I really already kind of was, I really went through the, I feel like I found myself a little bit at least, you know, I'm already in college. Like I feel like I know a lot more about myself and my emotions. Um, but I think that this whole experience, I've really grown. I've learned a lot more about myself, and that trip really pushed me to emotions that I never thought I would ever meet, like kind of like what I said before. Um, sorry, I'm kind of reflecting. I'm thinking. Um, I really think overall it's made me more confident in who I am and in my self identity. It in meeting them, I mean, they've helped me grow too. Like it was a self discovery, but without them, it's really helped.
Yeah.
Um, Lily, because they're younger than you can call them Woda Mei Mei. With my little sisters.
Yes.
Woda Mei Mei. Sadie, how about you? How has this experience changed you?
Yeah, definitely what Chloe and Lily said. It does push you to grow a lot more, but honestly, it's a good thing. Like we have a new, different experience, and at first, that's like kind of scary because it's like, wait, this is not what like kids back at home like go through. Like that makes me different, but it's kind of made me realize that like this difference good. And I've become more honestly aware of definitely my identity, and realizing that um I don't know. Yeah, honestly, just becoming more confident in your identity and realizing it's okay um, to like not necessarily fit in your predominantly white town and not necessarily fit in China, because like I found my family like these two, and I feel like I fit in perfectly with them.
I mean, that's what's pretty incredible, right? I mean, for much of your lives, you kind of had those questions, right? Where do I come from? What's my family like? And you found a different kind of family, right, in each other, but a family nevertheless.
Yeah.
And that's pretty powerful. Well, Chloe, Lillian, Sadie, thank you so much for taking the time. I was so moved by this film. I hope everyone goes to see it. And you're allowing yourself, allowing yourselves to be vulnerable, and really sharing your experience and allowing us to go along with you, I think is going to do a lot for people in trying to sort of understand how to reconcile aspects of our own identity, and certainly propel. I think it will propel people to be more understanding too, of people whose situation and circumstances may be very different from yours. So thank you all. I'm so glad you got to experience this journey, together, and thank you for allowing us to be part of it as well.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank you so much for
you.
meeting with us.